It's 935 KDAY, Cece and Romeo. We're excited right now. That's why I got my Lakers jacket on. Listen, we got the legendary, we're going to call him the iconic, Byron Scott in the studio with us. First off, let me hit you with this, Mr. Scott.
Okay.
I know that you were at the Raider game, and of course, Rome is a huge Raiders fan. That part right there.
Sorry to hear that.
So, oh man, so I was just about to ask you, what was that energy like when you were at the game?
Oh, the energy was fantastic.
Oh, it was?
I
Okay.
had never been to, what is it, Alliance Arena, or whatever it is over in Vegas. But the energy was great, and the game was good. I was there with, family and friends, and I had also one of my homies that lives in Vegas that's a big, Bears fan. So he was talking mucho, stuff. He was, I'm going to tell you, he was going. And I was representing for the Raiders because I was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they used to be an LA team
right.
along with Oakland. And I loved the Raiders back in the day when they had Marcus Allen and those brothers on the team. So I was telling them, I said, man, the Raiders going to beat that ass. I'm just be honest with you, and then they laid an egg, and Chicago tore them up.
I felt like that was going to happen once the news broke on Friday about John Gruden.
Yeah.
I felt like the team wasn't really going to show up. I said, we're going to take this L against the Bears. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if the energy was going to still be the same. So the energy was high in the stadium, just not on the field.
Yeah, the energy was high in the stadium. The fans were there. It was a bunch of Bears fans, too, though. I mean, it was orange all over that arena, which kind of surprised me because I went to the Charger game when the Raiders were here, and the Raiders were deep. In SoFi. I mean, they were deep, So it was interesting to see the two arenas to be in both of them. Yeah. But the Raider vibe was still pretty tight. But I agree with you. After the Gruden incident and the news that came out, I didn't think they were going to come with it, and they didn't.
Well, that was so heavy, and it's weighing on them,
Yeah,
some said he shouldn't even coach that Sunday. I wondered if that would have made a difference. But, we can't turn back the clock. It is what it is.
Correct.
But he is out the picture now because he got Byron Scott hanging out with us, KDAY Morning Show. Let's switch over to the NBA. Some of the biggest news right now.
Sir.
Kyrie Irving. Now, you've been a player, you've been a coach, and he's anti-vaccine. So he's not against it. It's not like he doesn't like being vaccinated, but his thing is he doesn't feel like he needs to be told what to do. Yeah. So if you're on his squad, knowing that you could be the best coming out of the East, whether a coach or a player, what are you saying to him in the locker room? Are you saying anything?
I'm telling him to take that damn shot, dog. We got
take that shot.
We're trying to win a championship, man. We're trying to win a championship, and I understand his stands as far as he don't want nobody telling him what to do. I understand that, but you got somebody been telling you what to do all your life. When it comes to basketball, you got coaches and everything, so you've been told what to do all your life.
That's
so
true.
I understand. I coach Kyrie, and he's a terrific player. There's no doubt about that. And he has his own views, and you got to respect that. We all have to respect anybody's views and their opinion.
Absolutely.
But there comes a point in time where you have to say, you know what, as long as you understand where I stand, I'm going to go ahead and take this shot, for the betterment of the team, for us to have a chance to win a championship. But as long as you know that I'm taking because I want to because of the team, not because you making me.
Right.
And I think if he understood that or went with that mindset, it'd be a different story. But if I'm a teammate, I'm straight, telling him, yo, dog, we trying to win a championship, and with you, we got a great chance of doing it. Without you, we got no chance, especially with that team in purple and gold over there in the West.
Talk about it, which we're going to talk about right now.
So speaking of that, let's talk about Lakers this season and how they looking.
Yeah, you know what? I think, preseason doesn't give you a true picture of how a team looks and what that team is going to be able to bring to the table. They still have a lot of adjustments to make. They got, two guys that's been there. And when I say those two guys are Anthony Davis, who would be a future Hall of Famer. LeBron James is going to be considered one of the greatest ever, to go down in history. Those two guys know how to win. They've won a championship together. So now you have to you put in Russell Westbrook, who hasn't won a championship but who's been a dynamic player for so long. He's going to have to understand the dynamic between those two and fit in. He's not going to have the ball all the time. He's not going to be able to take 25, 30 shots a game. So if he's willing to do that, and I think they stay healthy, I don't see anybody beating the Lakers this year.
Yeah, and
I love
that's what they said yesterday during the game. They said at the end of the day, this is a playoff-ready team. It's just a matter of staying healthy throughout the season.
Right.
But if they can get to the playoffs, I don't think the Raiders can be beaten out with that lineup.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention Carmelo.
Yeah.
A guy that comes off the bench that's one of the most prolific scorers we've ever had in this league. And I've always liked Carmelo's game, because he's going to give an effort on both ends of the floor. He's not a great defensive player, but he knows how to play team defense, which is very important. But he can knock down shots on a consistent basis. And he can just take people one-on-one. So you're going to have to pay attention to him when he's on the floor as well. And I think he's accepted the fact that he knows that, listen, this is it. This is my last chance to get in the ring, so I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get that ring. If you want me to come off the bench, if you want me to come off the bench and play 10 minutes, I'll do that. If you want me to start, I'll do that. Whatever you want me to do or need me to do, I'm going to do that. And I think that's the type of attitude Russell has to have as well.
Yeah, and Russell can still give us a triple-double, even taking less shots.
He's still going to get triple-doubles. He's still going to average 18 to 20 points a game. I think with this team that he has right now, hopefully his shot selection gets better as well. But like I said, he doesn't have to carry the load, and that's important.
Yeah, definitely important. Of course, you would know, 3-time NBA champion, got Byron Scott hanging out with us. This is legendary right here. I got to ask you this. I think, was it your last year when Kobe came into the league? And then you coached him for his last game?
Yeah.
Can you describe Kobe for people? Because you've spent the time with him. You've seen the ups and downs. You've seen that Mamba mentality. How do you describe that to KDAY Nation?
Guys, you know what? Everything that everybody has ever seen or read or heard about Kobe is true when it comes to that Mamba mentality, but it's even probably 10 degrees higher than you ever could expect. Because I got a chance to see him, during those times. I got a chance to witness his work ethic. I got a chance to see him on the basketball court, hours before practice even started, and get a full workout in, and then go in the locker room, change shirts because it'd be soaking wet, come back out and go to practice.
Damn.
He was relentless as far as his work ethic. And I tell people this all the time, Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady were two unbelievable basketball players, two Hall of Famers as well. They were more talented than Kobe Bryant. They really were. When you look at Vince Carter, the way he jumped, the way he could shoot the ball, same thing with Tracy. Kobe made himself into an unbelievable basketball player. He wasn't the greatest athlete.
To me, that's even like
flyer.
You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't the greatest athlete, but what he did know is that he was not going to allow anybody to outwork him. And having that mentality, and he just felt that he could beat you by his just sheer will. And a lot of guys don't have that. They don't have that heart. And that's the thing with KB. The one thing he wanted to do is he challenged everybody he ever played against. He challenged everybody he played with.
Yeah.
And if he felt that he could take your heart, then he would look at you with no respect.
Damn.
He was that mean on the basketball court. He would look at you with no respect.
Killer instinct.
If you stood up to him, but if you stood up to him and accepted the challenge, even though you wasn't better, but you wasn't going to let him punk you, as we, would say back in the day.
Matt Barnes.
Then he would respect you. And that's how you had to earn it. And he was just one of those guys that, I'm going to take your heart, and you're going to have to kill me. That was his thing. You're going to have to kill me to take mine. And I watched that for 20 years, and I had so much respect for him. So when I got a chance to come back to LA and coach him, our relationship had developed into where it wasn't the player mentor type relationship we had when we first met, because he was 17, 18 years old. When I first met him, and we would talk on the bench and take these walks and talk about basketball and life in general.
Yeah.
When I get back, he was a grown man. That understood what he wanted to do. But he told me at 18 years old, he said, I want to be one of the greatest. And I looked at him, and I at that time I had been with him for probably a month. And I saw his work ethic, and I looked at him. I said, "You will be."
Wow.
And to this day, that video was all over the place where people will look at it and say, "Man, Coach Scott knew what he was talking about when it came to this man," but it wasn't hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could just tell he was so driven. He was unlike any 18-year-old I had ever met. He's on the back of the bus, reading Wall Street, and he wasn't looking at the funny papers and
learning different languages.
Learning different languages and things of that nature. He was just different.
I remember the first time I was at home and I saw Kobe did a press conference, and I saw him on TV, and somebody asked him a question in Spanish, and he answered. I was like super excited in my house, and I was like, "Yes, Kobe, yes, represent us."
Yes,
it was just
Spanish,
dope to see it.
Yeah, Spanish, Italian. I would see him in the locker room talking to guys that that we had from overseas, and in their language. full out conversation. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell y'all talking about? You know, coach, just, you know, I was like, okay, you know, but he was so well diverse.
Yeah.
The brother wanted to learn. He was a sponge from day one up until his demise. He was just a guy that continued to learn and wanted to be the best at everything he put his hands on.
I agree.
And I loved him. I mean, I loved him for the person that he was, and for the player that he was, the family man. His daughters meant the world to him.
Yeah. I love that. Now, we were talking about, Rome just hit you with, you know, coaching Kobe. My question in regards to that is, what was harder for you? Was it harder to be a player or to be a coach? Because I would think a coach, because you got these different personalities, and basketball players got egos. It's what it is. Radio people do too. But I was wondering, like, is it harder to be a player, or is it harder to sit there and coach the players?
Cece, everybody that's successful got an ego. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's how they got to be successful.
Yes.
They had an ego. They knew they were the best at what they was doing. But it was harder for me to be a coach because, like you just said, I had to manage, 12, 15 guys. I had to manage their egos. I had to manage their personalities. I had to try to get to know them on a personal level because I had to find out which buttons to push to get them to do certain things, and I had to be also that person that had the door open when they were ready to talk about personal things that were going on or professional things that were going on. So it was a whole lot harder to deal with from a coaching standpoint because as a player, I had to worry about me.
Yeah.
And I made sure that I got me ready for every single game. And if I did that, and my reasoning being, and a lot of guys that are great basketball players, is because I'm not going to let my teammates down.
Yeah.
So every offseason I got, bigger, stronger, faster, better, because I didn't want to let Magic Johnson down, James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I said, so I got to come in my best shape, and ready to play, so that I can, play at a very high level, so I don't let those guys down. And number one, and number two, so they don't think about trading me.
There you go.
So I got to be ready every single night, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, coaching was so much harder because, like you said, you got to deal with so many different personalities, and every player, ain't gonna like you. Because they think you got an agenda as a coach. I used to tell guys, I don't have an agenda. My agenda is to win. That's what my job is, is relied on, is winning. And if we're not winning, or you're not playing, don't blame me, because you're not playing. It's because the other guys I trust more or I think are better. So I never had an agenda against a player. But players always think that, the coach don't play me because he don't like me.
I'd have been like, look, if you win, I look good,
look, I used to tell him, I said, look, if my mama could help me win basketball games, I throw in there. Don't get it twisted.
Okay, yes.
Don't get it twisted. I throw in there.
Wow.
Mama, do your thing.
Right.
Got you. I'm not mad at that. Of course, we got three-time NBA champion, Laker legend right here, Byron Scott, hanging out with the KDAY Morning Show. We're going to get to your podcast in a second, but we have to talk about the Celtics. When we think about the Celtics and the Lakers, the rivalry, how intense was it playing against them, and who did you hate the most? Extremely
intense. It was the best rivalry in sports. At that time, it still might be the best rivalry.
True.
In sports. And I hated Danny Ainge. I just hated Danny Ainge. Everybody hated Danny Ainge. Seems like, so the first chance I got to throw a bow and hit him, I was like, I'm gonna get this dude.
Got him.
So it was just, and it wasn't so much he did anything. It was just his reputation.
Yeah.
I just couldn't stand him because of the type of player he was.
Right.
And he was a good player, to be honest with you. And but it was just a rivalry, like you said, that we couldn't stand them, they couldn't stand us, and we hated the way they played the game of basketball. Just throwing the ball on the side. They had a fast break style. It was just different than ours. It was all pass. Ours was dribble. Magic, we tried to get in his hands and we tried to fill the lanes. And their style was really trying to pass it up the sideline and then throw it into, Parrish or McHale or something like that. So we just hated everything about them. We hated their colors. We hated the city. We hated the team. So when we would go there to play games, it was like we would do our thing. Me, Magic, and Coop were called like the Three Musketeers. Every city we went to dinner and a movie.
Oh, dope.
And that was the one city we was like, we go and dinner and a movie in this city. We ain't talking to none of these, what.
I was about to ask, did you even go into a dinner and a movie in that city?
Yeah, we went out, but the fans would be, they come up and they say hello, but then they walk away cussing us out. It was crazy, but the rivalry was real. And even to the point when I was coaching in New Jersey, Cedric Maxwell did the radio for the Celtics.
Okay.
And every coach would do an interview with him, before the game. And we went there, and Bobby Marks, who was our PR guy, was like, Coach, so Cedric, Maxwell's going to come in and do an interview with you because he does it with every coach. I said, I ain't doing a damn thing with him. And he's like, yeah, because I said, no, I'm serious. I said, I'm not talking to him.
Uh-huh.
And Bobby Marks just looked shocked, and I was dead serious. And I didn't. We come back to, a couple of months later or whatever, because we had to play them twice at their place, twice at ours. And I said, no, I'm not doing it.
There was no fine for that since you didn't talk to him anything?
No,
Wow.
but it made I guess it made our organization look bad, or it put a lot of pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
The next year we went, and he was like begging me, Coach, please. Every coach has talked to this guy, come on, please. And Cedric walked in, just like, hey, what's up? And I was like, what's up?
Oh, my God. That was probably like an awkward interview.
Straight,
yes.
like, fist balled up. I
Yeah.
was like, if he say one wrong thing, I'm
It's
punching him.
It's
Yeah, And we got to talking, and 5 minutes after the interview was over, we were still talking. And he left, and I was like, wow. So I ended up finding out that we hated each other for the right reasons, because we both were trying to beat each other. But we ended up finding out, at least I did, that we had a lot in common.
That's tough.
Isn't that a trip? That's a trip. Yeah.
So it tripped me out that I was like, this dude ain't bad. He just wears that nasty green and white, but he's not a bad guy. And then I got to know Danny Ainge a little bit, and then Larry Bird, and then Kevin McHale. And I was like, man, these dudes are cool.
That off-court conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They doing their job like we doing our
exactly.
job. Yeah.
And and it took that, for me to just really soften up and realize that, you know what, these guys are really cool. They just, they were just like us. They just wanted to win championships. It wasn't about, individuals. It was about championships.
It's about winning. Now let's go ahead and switch gears, because we are going to get to your podcast now, Off the Dribble. What inspired? There's a lot of podcasts that have popped up lately. You know that, but what inspired you to say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do it. Let me do this podcast.
Well, Cece, I think during the time of the pandemic, everything that was going on, my wife and I were doing some other businesses, and we were doing a lot of virtual business, doing that Zoom stuff, right?
Right, yes.
And I was like, it'd be kind of cool to do a podcast. And then she was the one that was really kind of egging me on, saying, I think you should do one. Then we ran into a friend of ours, it ended up being a friend of ours named Cody Wallace, who ends up being a producer for podcasts. So it just kind of like everything was hitting me like, in the universe saying you should do this. And I decided, you know what, it's a good idea. Let's try it. Let's see how this is. And, started doing it and loved it, because of all the people that I know, in the sports world, in the music world, in the entertainment world, I was like, this, I think, could be very interesting and very fun. And a lot of those people, we know each other, but we don't know each other.
And I think this is like
like
an opportunity or a chance for you to get with them and have those intimate conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's what I found out. I hear stories, and I get stories out of them because they're comfortable with me, and I'm with them, and we're and it's not interviews to me; it's conversations.
Right.
Yeah,
we're having
exactly
conversations.
what it is.
I'm not doing an interview. I'm not a, sit down Bobby Walters type person trying to, you know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you.
Yeah. I'm having interviews on things that we've had together, things that we've done together, things that we haven't done together, some of the things that people might not know about them that they're willing to share with me and everybody else, obviously, who's watching or listening.
Yep.
So I thought that would be fun, and it's been unbelievable so far.
That's
Well, I'm hearing
awesome.
episode 3, Cooper Loop. You got Michael Cooper on that?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
Michael Coop, and Coop ain't and my show starts out, with a glass of wine. We're gonna drink a little sip, toast to
Right.
it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he loved that.
Yeah. So you got to come on. We're gonna have a glass of wine.
Okay.
We'll bring out a nice bottle, and then start off. And Coop was like, "I'm not a wine drinker, babe." Man, he started drinking wine. Coop is crazy. First of all, Coop was
Should have been like, hold on, let me grab the Hennessy
yeah,
real quick.
he had a few sips, and all of a sudden he was like, "Man, you gonna get me to say some stuff on here that I'm like, hey,
See?
Coop, open up, dog.
There you go.
Let's have some fun. Open up." So it was great. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, I really enjoyed it, and look forward, to doing more.
Okay, other than Cece and Romeo coming on there hanging out with you,
Yes.
I'm going to bring this with me when I come down. I'm gonna bring
Yes.
that
There you go. Oh no, we're gonna have some of that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a must right there. Who else is on your list? There's got to be a list where you're like,
man.
I got to sit down with this particular person. Is there anyone?
On my list, it's so many guys that I wanted to sit down that I've known back in the day.
Okay.
Dave Winfield, Sugar Ray Leonard, Jamie Foxx,
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Anderson, Cedric the Entertainer, and all these guys I got personal.
I was gonna say, they gonna pick up the phone.
I got personal interaction with.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been fun. You know, like I said, you know, talking to those guys, and I mean, the biggest thing is just setting up a time. You know, everybody's so busy doing this and that, but you know, my boy Magic. You know, I'm like, Buck, I need to do one with you, and he's like, all right, B, let me get done with all this other stuff, then let's do this. You know, so it's a lot of great guys, a lot of great, you know, interviews.
Yeah.
Very interesting. You know, and then I got a couple of women that I'm like targeting that I want to talk to and sit down with as well. So the one thing I wanted to do with it, you know, Romeo and Cece, is not make it just sports.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, because I have so many, you know, relationships with people that are outside of sports that I know are very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my boy J.O., Jeffrey Osborne, you know, one of the greatest singers.
Love him, yes.
You hear,
Come on,
man,
now.
when you hear J.O.'s voice, you know who it is.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
that's like Whitney, that's like Luther, that's like
George Benson.
That's like George Benson. It's like
Yes.
Beyonce. When you hear their voice, you know exactly who that is.
He was just in Riverside a few weeks ago doing the show.
And J.O., I mean, we sat down. We had some real good, interesting talks because he's a huge Laker fan. Used to sing all the national anthems for us when we were in the playoffs. I think we lost one game, and he must have sung 20-something times. We lost one game that he sung. And we would bring him in. We superstitious. That's the other thing about athletes.
Yes.
Very superstitious. So, you know, we got on a winning streak with J.O., so we would bring him in every time we played the Celtics in the finals, Detroit in the finals, things like that.
That's dope.
We lost
Yes.
one game with him singing the national anthem.
Wow.
So it's interesting to hear his take on a lot of that, and we talked about that, and it was just, like I said, just a great conversation.
You know, my mom talks about, you know, basketball because that's how I grew up watching
Mm-hmm.
it. And she's like, Mija, let me tell you, the one person that went in there and killed it and nobody was able to ever touch him. It's Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye.
She was like, Mija, when he
Yeah.
sang, she said, till this day. And she would YouTube it, she would
Yeah.
play it, and she would make me listen to it.
Yes.
I'm like, what? She's like, oh, it was something
Just
else.
the way he flipped it. The way he flipped
Yes.
it.
Like you said, nobody had done it like that. You know, he did it so soulfulest. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was just, when you listen to it, you just like, dang.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You know, that's the national anthem. The way he had his shades on, and, you know, and Marvin was already cool.
Yeah.
You know, he was cool, handsome, and the voice was just unmistakable. And when he did it, he changed the whole vibe of doing the national anthem.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I got a cool fun fact so I can pop my collar. I did the anthem for the Lakers in 2001. And when I
What?
came off the court, Shaq high-fived me and Kobe said, good job, Romeo. And that just geeked me for like the rest of the year.
So that's all you need.
I
That
was like,
geeked
are
him
you
for life
kidding
because
me?
he still
that's
talk about
that's all
it.
you
Still
need.
talk about it.
Yes.
You know, you got them two Hall of Famers saying
I'm
good
holding on
job.
to that moment.
That's all you need.
You better
But I was
hold on
going
to
to say
that
this.
moment.
I ain't no Jeffrey Osborne or Marvin Gaye. I'll keep it 100, though.
But you did your thing.
I
But
did
you
my
did your thing. There
Yes,
you go.
I think that's amazing. Off the dribble. Can I suggest too? I would like to have a suggestion to tell you if maybe you could have Vanessa Bryant on your show one day. I would really love for her to talk about, because nobody's touched this, and I'm curious.
Yeah,
I'm curious personally about the whole Mambacita and how she did the shoes, the clothing. Like, I really want to hear about that, and I haven't heard her speak on that.
You know what? That would be great. You know, and
For the girls, 'cause we like that, you know?
Vanessa, if you're listening, you know we're gonna reach out to you. You know, her and my wife are cool as hell. You know, and during the games they would get together and go in there. And she would always, you know, Cece, what you doing with Byron? Why he look so good now? You know, I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, yeah, that's what y'all always say, whatever. But you know, Vanessa is unbelievable woman, wife, you know, mother. You know, I mean, just did an unbelievable job of raising those girls.
Yes.
And is still doing an unbelievable job. So I would love to talk to Vanessa. Said I haven't talked to her, you know, obviously, you know, since Kobe passed.
Yeah.
And saw her at the funeral or memorial, whatever you want to call it, at Staples Center, and didn't get a chance to say hello to her. You know, I knew, you know, she got a million things going on in her mind. But, yeah, would love to sit down and talk to her.
We love that. And we love the fact you came and took time out to sit down with us. Like,
Yes.
This is a magical moment. We have a lot of legendary artists up here, but to have you here says a lot, Byron Scott. Thank you, man.
Well, no, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. And 93.5 back in the day,
What?
still just
Still
y'all
iconic.
Still doing it, man.
Well, when
It's
you're
all
out in the
good.
gym, who are you bumping? Are you bumping a Snoop or an Ice Cube maybe,
You
or
know
a Dr.
what?
Dre?
You know what?
Or a
depends.
Jay-Z, a Biggie?
Yeah, no, you know what, CC? It depends on where I am at that time, because normally when I'm in the gym, I'm with my business partner, my buddy. So we don't have music. We just doing our thing.
Right.
And we having conversations, the next business venture we want to jump into or something like that. But when I'm by myself, I'm bumping everything, to be honest with you. I love R&B. I love Drake. I love Tupac. I love Biggie. I love Snoop. I love Ice Cube.
Come on, man.
Old school.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Earth, Wind & Fire, the Isley Brothers. I'm
Yes.
bumping a little bit of everything. I just kind of let it run. I don't put it on one specific gender when it comes to music. I just kind of let it run because I love
melting
everything.
pot of music.
I love that.
I love everything. Yeah.
Yes, a little bit of hip hop, R&B, some funk.
Ain't
Why
hurt
not?
nobody.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
KDAY Nation, there it is. Laker legend right there, Byron Scott. Don't go nowhere.
Thank you.